Hi, everyone. Mr. Honig again, and we're going to walk through today a word problem with systems of linear inequalities. Okay, so much like the word problems that you learned in systems of linear equations, we're going to use the same type of setup. The only difference here is now we're using linear inequalities. Okay, so the first step in any of these, again, is to always make sure that you define what your variables are first. Okay, so we have to first know what x represents and then what y represents. Once we know those two things, then we can start building our equation, or in this case, our inequalities, okay? So the two things that we have to ask when we actually read this question here are we have to know how many hours total, how many hours of each one of these are we actually going to have to work, okay? So how many hours will you have to work in house cleaning? So hours house cleaning. And then your Y value, or your other value in that case, would then be the hours that you are selling something, okay? So the hours in sales. I'm just going to abbreviate for time's sake and make it a little bit easier on ourselves, okay? All right, now what I like to do then is figure out what two equations or inequalities I have. Once I know that X represents the number of hours I'm house cleaning, then I can look back into my problem and find out, well, what do I actually earn per hour? It tells me that right here. House cleaning pays $5 per hour. The per right here physically means multiplication. X is the number of hours, 5 is the dollar amount. So I earn $5 per hour, or in this case, I'd have a 5x. The next part here also says that our sales job pays $8 per hour. Well, I know sales is Y, that's the number of hours I sell something. So 8 times the number of sale hours would then be 8Y. Okay. Now, and then I have to look in here for a sign. What symbol should I put between these? I'm going to actually use addition here because I'm adding these two dollar amounts together in order to get that total of $56. Okay. Here's the key word though. With equations, we could just slap an equal sign in here and say, yep, we're good. All right. We need at least $56, which now we have to think about our inequalities. So if I think at least, this is what you are earning with your hours. If I want at least $56, I want to at least have it, meaning it could be equal to and also greater than, because I'm not going to be upset if I earn more than $56 in this week. I would actually be a lot more happy. Okay, so then I have place in my $56. So there's my first inequality. Okay, now I told you I like to look at this in terms of units, and here's what these have in common: $5, $8, $56. This inequality right here is talking all about the money. We have to then find a second one. Well, what other unit do we have? The only other unit we're talking about here are actually the number of hours. So then I have to write an inequality again, my apologies, of writing the number of hours, okay? This one is so simple, it's hard. That's what I always like to say to my students, because we don't have those nice numbers where it's $8 per hour. I can say, hey, it's 8Y. Actually, we already decided what they were up here. So we know the number of hours we clean, X, plus the number of hours we sell, Y, we have to have no more than 10 hours per week. So I'm going to place the 10 over here, just like what we did with the 56. That is the same unit hours. But what does no more than mean? Well, with these two right here, if I look in carefully, no more than, it could equal 10 hours. So I know I have an equal to. But if I want no more than, that would then be a less than sign. So those are your two inequalities. That's how we decode and write the inequalities. The next video is going to walk you through how to actually graph them.